when I walked in at
So
first.
good to see you. I just saw your mom.
Hey everybody, we're going to get ready to start. We do have a microphone hooked up, but if everybody can hear me okay, I'd rather not use the microphone, so let me know if anybody can't hear me. I don't know about like background noises or whatever. So first I want to say thank you to everybody who's here tonight for coming. I know that zone changes are emotional and hard, and we don't want to, we don't engage in these conversations lightly, but until the district has the ability to build a school in the Hayden part of our district, Garwood continues to get bigger because of just where the growth is, and we do need to look at some ways to kind of reduce Garwood's enrollment and increase Twin Lakes Elementary's enrollment, which is why we're here, so that you all have a chance to kind of see this facility.
And then I think this would plug into that.
So we're just starting this process. There are a couple of things that that I just want you to have in the back of your mind. We really started this conversation not looking specifically at Garwood and Twin Lakes Elementary, but looking at ways to reduce costs. As everybody knows, we have a levy that did not pass in November. We're rerunning it in May at a reduced rate, but we've cut our budget for the last 3 years, $2 million each year, trying to kind of get closer to where the state funds the school district, and we still have a ways to go. So even with the levy passing in May, we still have to continue to look for ways to cut costs. And so we started having the conversation about transportation. You know, are we being as cost effective as we can be? We have a couple of places, and our transportation director Jessica's here. She's going to, once we get the technology working, she's going to show you a couple of different places that are kind of up in the northern part of the district that have nothing to do with Garwood, where our bus drivers pick up kids and then they have to actually go out of that school's zone and drive into a different school zone to find a place to turn around to go back to where they need to go, which is not the most cost-effective way to run a route. And so we just thought, one, it's important to get parents involved early and be part of the process. So we're just starting the conversation. One of the areas that we looked at for Garwood moving to Twin, I did share out with the Garwood families just so you could kind of see. Not that that's what the one thing we're looking at, but this was a proposal that came to this group, and we didn't do anything more than accept the proposal because we wanted parents to be part of the process. So as we work through our tasks tonight, and I know this is going to be challenging, but it is important to just kind of set aside where you live and how this all impacts your family. And we're going to task you tonight with looking at the maps. Jessica's got the big one up here, so you can see roads, and look at all of the different places that you can see on the map where we could shift. We're trying to shift about 100 kids out of the Garwood zone and over to the Twin Lakes Elementary zone. So the big poster paper tonight, that's where you guys get to put your brainstorms. That's why I asked as you came in that you were sitting at a table with paper, and if you're all by yourself, you can work all by yourself or you can join a table if you want. But just so you kind of know the process, tonight is just a brainstorming night. There are no decisions being made. We're not going to strike out brainstorms. The whole point of brainstorming is there's no bad idea. We're going to put it all on paper. Then when we come back together, we'll start to go through all of your brainstorms and look for places where we had several people identify kind of similar spots and start to work our way through all of those and talk about the pros and the cons of each. And then as a group, decide which ones we think are viable that we're going to keep and which ones probably don't work from a cost or time perspective, because we don't want kids on buses for an hour to an hour and a half. So looking at minimizing the amount of time kids are on the bus route is important. And then once this group kind of gets it down to like 3 or 4 really good possibilities, then we would do a parent meeting at Garwood with the Garwood parents, present the 2 or 3 or 4 possibilities that we come up with, ask them for input, and then we bring all of that input back to this group and kind of work through the information we get from them. They may come up with an idea we didn't see. That happened when we changed the Betty Kiefer zone and moved Betty Kiefer kids over to Garwood. That happened. And actually it was a much better idea than one that the group came up with. And so that was what we ended up taking. But when parents get to be part of the process and have a voice, it's just a lot easier for everybody to feel like this is the best that we could do, and we're doing what's right for kids. So I'm going to turn over to Jessica. She's going to talk a little bit, show you some of those areas that were up in the northern part of the district that we need to also look at that have nothing to do with Garwood. And then I'll answer any questions that you might have, and then we're just going to kind of turn you loose tonight and let you work. The maps that are at your tables obviously are not super helpful because there are no street names. But as you're kind of looking at, Jessica will talk about the colors. As you're looking at the colors, you can come to her and she can zoom in and show you if you're looking at a particular street. Like it looks like this group right here makes a lot of sense. Where is this right here? Because we can't see. She can help with that to give you some specific points of reference as you're putting your information down. So.
Sounds good. Okay, so the yellow at the top right, this is Athol Elementary Zone. The green on the left is Spirit Lake. Twin Lakes is the red. Dark blue is Garwood. And then over here, the purple is John Brown Elementary, and the light blue is Betty Kiefer. There's been some areas, I've worked for transportation for about 6 years now, and we've always talked about wanting to make some changes in some of these overlapping areas. For instance, Athol routes from the yellow, they have to travel, this is Highway 54 where the mouse is. There's no safe turnaround spot on Highway 54 for a bus. So we have to come all the way into Spirit Lake Zone, come down Ramsey to get back here on Remington to pick up these kids. So these are the types of areas that we would like to just take a look at and get your guys' ideas on, potentially switching maybe the boundary to Ramsey Road, or moving this section that's Athol possibly to Spirit Lake. We're open to ideas. Like Lisa said, if you guys have questions on certain neighborhoods, how many kids are there, I can circle that on the map and we can get some estimates. It's not perfectly aligned with our Skyward student information system. Until recently, we've really only focused on kids that rode buses with getting address points in the map. Since we started all these discussions, my team's been working really hard to get all those kids pinned on the map so we have more accurate numbers, but it's usually within 20 to 50 kids for each school, so not a huge drastic difference. So yeah, anything else you want me to go over, Lisa?
I thought there were 2 spots up north that we were looking at. Where we had to go back into a different zone and come back through.
Twin Lakes was one here. It's really hard to see on this map. So like Seasons Road does not go through from Ramsey over here towards Weir Road. So that's one where we kind of have to go way out and around. But I can't think of the other one that you're...
That might have been.
That might have been it. One of the things I guess I can speak on is we did have an area from Garwood that we were talking about, moving to Twin Lakes. It is Chilco Road and Ohio Match, and then North Atlas Road, so Atlas Road north of Highway 53. The reason that we kind of thought about this area is because it's about the right amount of kids. It's right about 100 kids to move over to Twin Lakes, and it's one entire route worth of kids. Right now, that's what we got, one route on. So if we were to kind of piecemeal it, that kind of becomes a little bit of a busing nightmare, because then we'd still have to have another route at Garwood, and then we'd have to add another route to Twin. So we kind of have to keep some of those things in mind. Yeah. But,
How does that help with potential future growth? You're only taking 100 in the non-growth area, because that area is all homes, it's not like apartments.
yep.
I mean, what does that do? Okay, now for a year it's good, but then you got 100 more kids that move in down to my land transfer, then what?
Yeah, and we did talk about proactively moving the chunk that's south of Brookshire that's going to be developed, maybe moving that to Twin Lakes or John Brown or Betty Kiefer. So we're hoping to get enough kids moved out of Garwood that when they do see growth, that there's enough room in Garwood for those kids.
Yes, ma'am. Are we really looking at rezoning all 4 of these zones instead of just putting a Band-Aid on this right now? Because we know where these homes are gonna go.
Right,
So,
we're open to all ideas, so there's nothing off the table right now.
yeah, for the next 5 to 10 years, let's set these zones, let's grandfather the children that are there, so we're not ripping them from their environments, and go with that. Because we know where the homes are going, there's no question about that.
And the issue right now we're having with where the homes are going is the majority of the homes aren't bringing in kids. So that's kind of what brought us to where we are right now with Twin Lakes, because when we did make the changes 2 years ago and reduced Garwood, we also reduced Twin because she had all of these homes being built in her zone, and there weren't kids that showed up as a result of that. So that is a little bit challenging, but what you are explaining is kind of exactly what we were talking about there. Again, no bad ideas tonight. It really is looking at, our goal would be, we have 1,800 elementary kids right now in 6 schools. So if we zoned everything exactly perfectly, we would have 300 kids in each of our schools. But that gets a little bit challenging just with where kids live and our streets.
Like population density. Well, another thing too is working with these maps and strictly for parents, because we don't have the population density. I mean, we can see streets, we can assume.
Right, Jessica can pull those up, so as you're looking, you can go see her and just say, can you show me how many kids are here? There just wasn't, we
Is
couldn't.
it a map that can be sent to us like through Google Docs, so we can, so we're not printing, but we can kind of look at it and interactive?
It won't be interactive, no.
Well, the first one was sent to us, how can this one not be sent to us?
Well, we could send it to you as a PDF, but you wouldn't be able to manipulate it. It's when
Well,
you
no,
say
I mean,
interactive.
just to zone in, I'm sorry, not to interact, just to look
Zoom
at the, just like you look at the first map, you're able to pull it up and zoom in, that's what I did try here, not just changing it. Just being able to shoot
I don't know if I have that you sent out. I mean, we could take a screenshot of
Jessica?
this.
We could screenshot this
Tiffany
one.
said if you could send her, like, do a screenshot of that and send it to Tiffany's email, she'll print.
Well, the screenshot may not work because if you see how clustered it is, I mean, I can assume how many kids are in that area, but if we're really trying to fine tune this and get it approved, I would need to blow it up, look at, each kid in this neighborhood, each kid in that neighborhood, so I can see where the lines need to go. So just sending the PDF in a whole would be best.
So emailing it out to you. Okay.
And these are just bus drop-offs, right?
Well, they've been
These
working.
are all students.
Yeah, they've been working to put in even the kids who are not currently bused. And as you look, like you've got kids who, like this is a Betty Kiefer kid who's going to whatever school that is. What color is that one? Which one?
That's Spirit
Well,
Lake.
they live in Athol Zone, but they go
They
to
go
Betty
to Betty
Kiefer.
Kiefer,
Yep.
yeah. So we have the wrong colored dots in places, and those are just our zone transfers.
There's a zone, so like you can see a blue dot in a yellow zone, it's either because that grade level or that child, like right now, if there was a kindergarten that came to Twin, they would be bused somewhere else, so the dot up for their school would be whatever school they're going to, but they're coming from Twin Lakes, in a red zone.
So, yes, please.
So, is there like a city plan or a population projection? Because there's not just the development south of Berkshire, right? There's, which I think policy there's somebody with like the city that has like projections, estimates that we can work off of, just think about more development, so it's.
Right,
It's
well-
a lot, there's no way there's not
And
kids.
Hayden, the Hayden charter area, all that you're talking about, Hayden, that's the part that gives me the most, concern, because there are a lot of homes going out there.
Yes, there are.
And, Garwood is the closest school to, we really need a school out on that side of the district. But we are struggling right now, even just to get a 50% plus one vote for a levy, so to go out and try to get a bond with 67% approval, I just am not sure we're there. So we have to look at all of that.
There's a lot more development. I thought those were going to Coeur d'Alene. I was shocked when I learned those were heading all up to Garwood.
Yeah, those
There's just more development than I.
So the school has no power to grow. You have no power to go out and say, hey, we can't support all these kids.
When new developments are coming in, we are asked to give comment, and that's our comment is, while we recognize that growth is good for the economy, and we can't support this because it puts too big of a burden on the school district to figure out how to house the kids. But that's just a comment, and then the city councils get to decide what they're gonna do with the request. And in Rathburn, if the proposal is in alignment with their 10-year comprehensive plan and all your I's are dotted and your T's crossed, legally they can't say no because they've got.
Apparently they're not taking school into consideration because they're just flooding the area with tons of kids that we can support.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Yes, sir.
So like the long-term forecast, you have the opposite thing happening in more communities getting smaller, because economies and stuff like that. How you don't have to understand is moving as you see population of those elementary schools decrease over time, while you're seeing growth as Garwood specifically and continues to grow.
Which is why we need to start talking about how we shift all of the boundaries and really start to look at how do we create some equity. Which is challenging if we're talking about shifting all of the population and grandfathering in everybody who's at Garwood, because then for a few years you have gigantic numbers at Garwood because you've just shifted population that wasn't at Garwood to Garwood potentially, and you're keeping the kids who are already there. So we have to kind of be careful of that. But again, tonight there are no bad ideas, so put everything on paper. Yes, ma'am.
Are we not considering maybe any of these like south of Lancaster kids and bring them in Vancouver?
That's all open tonight. That's what I need you guys to start looking at is how do we shift the boundaries, but they have to make sense. So we need to keep in mind, one of the things the board chair asked me to try not to do, because can you go down to where we moved that John Brown little group? So when we were trying to reduce the enrollment at Garwood the last time, we just went into this neighborhood right here and said, well, that's one whole bus route. We could take that neighborhood and then just go straight up Meyer to 53 and over to John Brown. And then this little part, which wasn't built out yet, but we knew houses were coming. Again, going straight up Meyer to 43. But when we piecemeal things like that, it doesn't make any sense when you're trying to buy a house or figure out where you live or where your kids would go. And so as you are looking at the map and coming up with ideas and ways to shift the numbers around, keep that in mind that we want to make sure that it makes sense for transportation.
How can use these school support for our students? So instead of rezoning whatever else, if this school can support more, and we move the teachers from this school over to this school, instead of moving all the students and disrupting all the campus, how many can they support? Say Twin Lakes is missing some kids, but whatever else schools take their teachers, move them over to Garwood, so we can sit there and have that support.
I would tell you that I think at Garwood right now, all of our classrooms are being utilized. So if we have more kids coming, there's nowhere to put them. So that's the issue. And the other part of this, so when I was still an elementary principal, our goal was to have always low class sizes, small neighborhood schools. But when I was a first grade teacher, I typically every year had 25 first graders. grade, and then third grade, we've been up to 27, 28, 29. But our board, really wants us to keep the class sizes down as much as possible, which from a budget standpoint, when we're looking at having to cut $2 million again this year, creates a little bit of a challenge because we employ about 50 more teachers than we get paid for, because the state doesn't take into account our small neighborhood school model. They just look at how many kids do you have and it's how many teachers you get. So we could run the district more efficiently if we had 3 schools of 500 and then a 4th school with like 350, because that's about what we have. It's a lot more efficient, and you still maintain class sizes, but that's super disruptive. So the board and our parents don't want to do that. So our next best thing to do is really look at all of what we've got right now, and are there ways to make some changes? And I'm not suggesting that we just like throw the whole thing out with bathwater and start all over again and everybody ends up moving. But I think it's wise to look at how do we take some of these areas and move them to get a keeper, and because originally when I was first the assistant superintendent, get a keeper zone was everything, this area right here, I'm trying to think. So Meyer, east of Meyer, those neighborhoods I just was pointing out, those were Beta Kiefer. And then we changed, and I can't remember what the cutoff was for Garwood, but when we were trying to add to Garwood, because Garwood's numbers were decreasing and Beta Kiefer was at 550, we made Meyer the dividing line. So everything west of Meyer is Beta Kiefer, east of Meyer is Garwood. We may need to look at that again. That makes sense to kind of look back at where we've been. It's unfortunately we keep moving the same families. That's the hard part. So tonight is really just rolling up our sleeves, looking at the maps, and trying to kind of find ways to make, especially where we look like we piecemealed it together a little bit. Is there a better way to do that that makes more sense? That can kind of shift some. We need to shift some kids out of Garwood, and we definitely need to shift kids to Flint. But in the process, there can be some shifting also to some of the other schools.
Can you speak to one of the schools have capacity though? I'm sorry, I have no idea. Just, you know.
So if when I was at Beta Kiefer, Beta Kiefer had 550 kids in it, Garwood had 550 kids in it, and John Brown had 550 kids in it. That's a lot of kids, and so that's class sizes where for fourth and fifth, you're talking 30 kids in the classroom. You're definitely talking 25 kids in the kindergarten, first grade classroom. I don't know that that's really what we want. So, but those 3 schools can handle that many kids if we had to. Twin Lakes is built to basically handle 2 sections at every grade level, so they don't have the same capacity. John Brown, Beta Kiefer, and Garwood were designed to have 3 classrooms at every grade level. Kindergarten through 6th grade, we don't have 6th graders anymore, so there is that part. Athol is designed for 2 classes at each grade level, K6, so there's some room there. Spirit Lake is the same.
Will these proposed changes affect their middle school?
No.
So
Not as
So
a
why-
Oh, no.
Yeah, whatever you're only looking at elementary zones, because those are the zones that are most problematic right now. So whatever your zone for middle and high schools, that would stay the same. Now, and I understand that. What I would tell you is, look at our enrollment over the last 3 years, elementary has consistently dropped across the district. So we're right now at a total of 1,800 elementary students, which again, if you divide it equally, is 300 kids. And no, we have 6 elementary schools.
Oh, 6 dollars.
Yeah, 6 elementary schools. Yeah.
What was the what's the average you want at each school if it seems to be like perfect? What's your average?
We would like to be like 350 at all 6 schools if we could get there. That's going to be super challenging. So
Like I said,
because
and like Apple was smaller.
they can handle 350 kids.
But then Garwood and Brown, they can handle 500.
And mid. Yep. But so elementary enrollment is declining, but high school at Lakeland High School is really the only school where we're seeing and Garwood has grown a little bit, thankfully not as much as they could have with all the building that's going on. But each year, for the last 3 years, Lakeland High School's gone up 100 kids each year. So people who are moving in with high school age kids. They're not moving in with little people. Yes, hi Ryan.
I hesitate to ask for this because I know you're being asked for a lot for documentation. Is it possible that we can make a table of like school capacity, ideal, and current, just to kind of have that as a reference?
Yep,
for displaying that?
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
So if this is kind of a school bus route issue, do we know how many of the families that are in the 100 families being considered to be moved are actually using the bus route?
For the proposed area for Ohio Match, Garwood, and Atlas. Yeah, it's one busload of kids, so it's about 60 or 70 students.
To piggyback on that, do you know how many of them are going to the middle school and won't be using elementary schools this year? So Route 31 has a lot of fifth graders on
A lot of 5th graders. I can find that out.
it. It's at least 8, if not more.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the same, I guess I'm just wondering if we have access to know how many zone transfers are to Garwood, like people that aren't even in the district but that are zone transfers in.
Okay, so
And how we would handle those.
zone transfers are students who are in the district's open enrollment out of the district kids. And Jake probably could work on getting a little bit of that information.
Full out of district kids in Garwood are
Crazy significant.
with about 35 transfers.
See if they move first, back to their zones.
The zone transfers are kind of a tricky situation, as are the inter and are the out of district transfers. The reason being, because Garwood is large enough, we have 3 sections that are just listening to. Now, I put the law in this space that we can only see from the building, we have to take those kids. And so it's kind of a compounding problem in Garwood where those are 35 kids where we have had to say, yes, we can really see the classroom, we really think that. So part of the strategy for the school district relies on continuing resources is to make sure that we're not just moving kids, that we're looking at transportation. It's not just not that, it's that net number of classes that we have to use.
Well, I know like for Hayden Meadows, our daughter went there and got kicked out because the area got seated. You can't go back to her, and they kicked out twice. So the open enrollment kids got moved out first. And people in zone like us, that you guys want to move. People that aren't even in the area, they can go to that school and I'm like, well, we live here.
So,
And they
yeah,
go off
so
for years.
Idaho law changed a couple of years ago with regard to open enrollment. And the way that the law works now is, the district sets the maximum number of kids in each classroom. And we purposefully set those low. And then, but if we have somebody who lives in Post Falls wants to come to Lakeland and they want to go to Garwood or Betty Kiefer, and we are saying that 23 is the magic number for K-3, and you have 3 third grade classrooms where you have 21 kids in each classroom. As long as there is a discipline or attendance issues, we have to take those kids. And if they've been in school for 2 years, they are no longer considered open enrollment, and they get all the same rights that everybody who lives right across the street from the school did. And that's Idaho law, because Idaho has some of the strongest parent rights laws in the country. Yes, ma'am.
So on that, do you decide that number before enrollment is already over, or do you decide that like in June?
We set it in the summertime.
Okay, so basically kids that are in zone can still enroll, but so you don't really have the right number to accept them anyways, right? You know what I mean? So not everyone is applied, you understand, right? Like, before the end of the year, then into August or whatever the cutoff is to sign your kid up to school.
Yeah,
You could accept it in that range, not knowing if you're still out, maybe kids sign up in September or whatever.
right, and the law says that, within 60 days, we have to give, an answer, so we don't have to do it right away. Last year, the board set the classroom size numbers, I think in June, so that we kind of knew what we were working with, and we just assume that everybody who's here is rolling up, and so that's where we start. So we don't take into account that people might be in a meeting, so if we have fourth grade classes at 27 each, we just automatically roll them up, and if the board says that the magic number is 26, we're full. And so we can give that answer even before registration is done, because we're basing it on what we have right now. So, and then we are by law, we have to post at least 4 times a year. We have to post what our enrollment numbers are and show how many open seats we have in each school. And so people watch, and then if we end up with an open spot, they can apply, and we accept.
What are you going to do about the people who are actively using before and after school programs because they're nurses or they work out of state and they're just being forced to move, and now they have a 6-year-old to essentially go ahead, get ready for school. I hope you can get yourself out to the bus on time. What are you planning on doing with that? Are you planning on opening base programs at the other schools? Or
We would love to have base at all the other schools, and if we could get them staffed, we would have them.
Have you ever considered maybe, since this is split shift for them, maybe make them 2 part-time positions?
Yep, we've tried that. So we have paras who work in the buildings, and we've gone to them and asked and talked about you could start from 6 a.m. and finish at 2. That's an 8-hour shift, and then you have somebody else that starts at midday and goes till 6 o'clock at night. And we've just had people who have said, if you're going to make me do the before or after school, I'll just quit, because most of our paras are moms who are working to help supplement their family income, but they want to work during the hours that their kids are working, and so they can be home with them. So we have done that, and we've not been successful. So the split shift is definitely problematic, and we are willing to get as creative as we can. We would love to have it at all 6 buildings, but we're struggling to just maintain the 3 that we're currently running, because people
But I
quit
heard
on
you
us.
guys have like a 43 kid wait list for the base program in Garwood.
Right, but if we don't have staff for it, we can't put the kids in. No, I don't. It truly is a scheduling issue. Parents don't want to come and work from 6 until 9 and then go, or people don't want to come and work 6 till 9, go home and come back at 3 and work until 6. It's just not a super convenient work schedule. So, and because it's not technically, their rules are not the same as school rules. So they're under the same guidelines as like a preschool or daycare.
Childcare.
More preschool than daycare, but with regard to the ratio, so we can never have more than 12 kids to 1 adult. And so if we don't have the right number of adults, we can't accept the kids who are on the wait list. That's where we are. And we constantly have those positions posted, and we just don't have a lot of people wanting to take them. Okay, so I will work on the data that Ryan asked for. And Ryan, you specifically asked for
school.
maximum capacity.
He asked for current school capacity, ideal capacity, and maximum capacity.
Yeah, like ideal, maximum.
And current, yeah. That's what I wrote.
Okay, so we'll work on that and then I can post it up here.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yep, and so I'm gonna stop talking, I'm just gonna let you and your tables kind of start. Tiffany went to go do something with Max. If you want.
It's hard not having my
If
computer.
you want
I'll let you.
Jessica to send you a
we have to
picture of the
know
map so you can blow it up on your phone and see
right.
things, she just needs an email address if you want to let her know. Yep.
I did, but Jessica was supposed to update that. Oh, it has.
So the base program, the population is around like 1 million.
Yeah, it's really just, as you're looking at it, try to kind of keep in mind that we don't want kids on buses more than an hour, and I would, if it would even be less than an hour, I would be happy. And then let's just put
I'm
all of our
logged in there,
brainstorming
but
down
this
and
is
then we
this,
can start
okay.
working through
So I
the
can log you
file.
out.
Yeah.
Okay.
May not work, but.
Okay, Becca, you took a screenshot. Can I get in your email and send it to her?
Oh, I already did. Did you know?
She wants one on her
yeah.
electronic. Okay, what's your email?
Thank you. And then I just minimize it and grab it off my home page. And then drag it out.
I am not technology. I had to switch to because I don't have a printer.
Switch it so
Well,
I
it doesn't go on my computer that way. It comes out of Heather's printer that way. So I don't know how to fix that. I had to log into her computer. I'm not technology savvy enough.
Well, don't.
I don't want to give you your brain. I don't want to give out your brain.
No, because I don't want them to start, I don't want them to have tunnel vision. I just want them to.
My stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Want them to have what? Jessica had some brainstorms, but I don't want to pass those out because I don't want to, when people start looking at other ideas.
I like that.
I like that.
East of
Yes.
95.
I really do too.
Because that's a lot of the new growth in Garwood, so if we can just move that
Move it
section
north.
out. And, I mean, I got the enrollment pulled up, so Apple's at 283, they could house, what, up to 500 kids, so I mean, even if we get 100 kids over there.
Over there, they're not over.
Yeah.
We should bring that one up to Lisa too. No wonder I can't find crap. It's still in yours. I'm like digging through my drive.
Did you
find anything good in there, Rebecca? Not what I'm looking for. Okay, I gotta sign you out. Sign out.
You have to go down to manage accounts on this device.
How do I sign you out?
Go to like the home page.
I'm just gonna hit sign out and re-sign back in.
Yeah, once you sign in with your email.
Then it should be okay.
Family or one student, yeah. If they have multiple kids, it won't show up as multiple dots.
Add that. That
We
like our
we do have it. I have the building capacity, but we haven't updated it.
Yeah, functional and maximum.
Let me see what I got.
now that she's logged in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Well, the part that they were looking at moving
On this side
is all one bus.
on that side. Okay.
You have a question, Rebecca?
Yeah. No, I was like, is all of you or that one? I was just trying to make sure that this one bus route was just on like this side. Whole area would be one route then?
One route, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, that is, right now, all those kids fit on one bus.
Okay.
But you
You must
got
have
things
some
like.
skinny behind.
It was that and, they're kind of
Holy.
close, they're kind of close to Garwood, so some of these are probably easier for them to drive their kids.
Yeah.
They go to Twin, you know, you guys might be a little farther away, that might not work with their work schedule. But
Yeah.
if we have other friendly elementary routes in that area, then, because we, right now, we already have a bus that comes down Old Highway 95, north side of the route.
Okay.
And they come down Showville, and pick us up the north side. And we send the Garwood bus this way to pick up the north side on the south side.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have some overlap right there already, so if it does get to be too many kids on one route, we can kind of pop them off.
Man, you have a committee working on every single also simultaneously. Not ideal for every parent in the middle of a living and those are like parents are gonna make mad and they're gonna always focused for education. Okay, great. I'm talking to you. And she's like rubbing her doing my face. It sucks. Stirring the pot is not opportune time.
And it might be that
No, I told Randy and them there and they wrote it down, so I'm feeding my ideas. What is it?
There's a little chunk east of 95 that moved those students up Apple. It's like
Almost 16 elementary kids.
the elementary.
And then that gets that Hayden North development into Apple Zone instead of Garwood. So that would cut Garwood's growth, big growth in half.
It's funny though, because like you can see on the map that is not going to be the closest option. Like that was literally somebody I'm struggling with that one a little.
it was based on
No one can't reach everybody. You have to be connected as a whole.
I always feel like I was,
Well, the thing is that I always kind of like so I'm like, I would be like gonna cut the tears in my car when it was done. So this is what you do because I would cry every time.
Take a picture. Yeah, so, you know, add it to the minutes.
started to go up. I think at one point. But if you look at Apple clothes,
As far as class sizes go across the board for the elementary class sizes are about the same per grade.
have that
Our time goes by very quickly. I really appreciate the work that you're doing. Lynn has a notebook, and so before we leave, our plan before you leave, can you have a sheet out people can put email addresses on? So will you please leave your email address for me, and then I'll add you to the calendar invitation, so that it'll go out every time. Well, we're kind of merging the two.
Oh,
This is long-range planning right now, and this is what we're doing. But we want our parents who are typically participating. So a couple of things right here for you, those of you, I'll put it right here with a pencil. When you put your email address on here, if there are additional documents or pieces of information that you think would help you with this work, if you would note that for us, we'll come with that next time. And then the other thing I just want to say is, I am not looking to ram this down people's throats and get it done by May. We need to make sure that we're building capacity with all of the parents, that all of the parents have opportunities to look at at the proposals we've come up with, pose questions, poke holes, come up with better ideas, we come back to the drawing board. And so if this takes us the rest of this year and all of next year until we get to the point where we feel like we're making good decisions, so we don't have to come back and do this again in a year, because this is super traumatic more traumatic for parents, I will tell you, than for kids. Kids are pretty resilient, and they can go into a new school and make new friends and be fine in a week. It's the parents who feel a strong sense of safety and security with the people that they know in their buildings and the way the principals run their schools. And so I understand all of that. I want to make sure when we make the decision to go to the board with a recommendation, that we're going with a recommendation that even Garwood parents who really don't want to move understand and can support, because it makes sense, right? So we could be meeting, we will meet probably every 2 weeks for the next few months, just to try to get some really solid ideas so that we can start meeting with all of the Garwood parents and have those conversations, and then other schools if there are other schools impacted. And then we can kind of, as a group, make some decisions about, are we ready to move this whole thing forward, or do we need to take our time? Because we do have a levy that we have to pass, and so the last thing we want is one whole school mad at us while we're trying to pass a levy. So I'm not trying to play the political game, but I completely understand that people's hearts are attached to their schools. And it worked when we did it, when we moved Betty Cooper to Garwood. It worked because we spent an entire year looking at ideas, going back to the drawing board, going back to the parents, coming back to the drawing board, and then even the parents who ended up moving to Twin could support it, and registration was super seamless, and people made the change because they felt like they were heard, and that's the most important thing. So if we rush this too much and people don't feel like they had a voice, that we didn't listen to their suggestions, all that does is make people angry, and that's not what we're trying to do. This is a long-range planning committee, and so we are looking at long range. So we know for sure at some point we need a school in the Hayden area of our district. We know that, but until we get to that point, how do we manage some of the
So is it safe to say, to kind of put the parts that this change to these lines, specifically garbage to Twin, would not be happening in 8 months from now for this upcoming school year? So I think the parents that is affecting would like to know if that is the potential that this can happen for this fall, versus pushing it out for the 26-27 school year.
right? And I would tell you right now, at this point, I don't know, because we could find a really good way to move some kids around that everybody buys into, and people all look at it and say, yep, that makes sense, and we can live with that, and then we can go to the board and make that recommendation, and things are fine. Or we start looking at proposals and we have a lot of people who are not happy. We have to get to a place where people can see the reasoning behind what choices we're making. So I can't say that right now because it's really going to depend on the Garwood families and what possibilities can say is that if we can't make the move to be ready to go in the fall and have people feel good about the changes we're making, then we're gonna take more time. So, and I can put that out to Garwood families if you guys feel like that might settle people down just a little bit. The other thing that somebody over here was talking about was somebody took the map from my little email I sent all of you and posted it without any real information from my email, and so we have some people who were panicked about this is a done deal and we don't get to have a say. And so if you happen to live near people who didn't come tonight, because I felt like I was just gonna tell them this is what we're doing, please let them know. We have a lot of work to do. And
I would say that, to be honest, the email was pretty big, and a lot of motions did fit it test pretty quickly, because it was a little big. I mean, I heard you're seeing long range and 5 to 10 year plan, but it was like 86 Garwood kids are going somewhere else, and so that, it just, that's the reason why I'm like, I think more parents need to hear about this. I don't even know if everyone got this email, and that's why I posted it.
Yeah,
And I tried to comment back what you were saying too in that email.
yeah, what I just heard was most people just, all they got was they didn't look at the.
No, I posted exactly what that email had.
No, I know, but people took like a screenshot of just the map part of it and then posted just the map, and so I'm not, right, I'm not trying to alarm people, and I just, really want people to know, like, that was just the first proposal that came out, but I wanted people to be aware that the Garwood families were talking about you again. I know you've already done this once, I hate that we're doing it again, and so please come. So if you happen to live near people who aren't here tonight, please make sure they know that this is going to be probably a long process, and everybody's welcome. So if you want to continue to work with us, please make sure you give me your email. I'll add you to the calendar invite, and then I'll send that out, and you'll get that so it can go in your calendar. And we talked about meeting just every other Monday until we feel like either we need to take a little break because our brains are fried, or we're ready to go to the full Garwood parent group. So, any questions? I really appreciate that you came. I know it's hard with little ones to be out at this time of night, but your voices are so important to this whole process, so I do really appreciate that you're here.
And not a question, but just saying, like, when, like, as a parent who just looked at it on Class Dojo or whatever, it was that screenshot and it had the 86 students, and it made it seem very specific to that section. So I feel like a lot of maybe parents in Garwood that didn't live on those 5 or 6 streets kind of could just, oh, this doesn't affect me. So just if you, I think I want more participation and more people to come, because I don't think they realize on the other side of Garwood it could be your section that's changing. It didn't kind of come across that way, so it just needs to, I think it's.
So I'll send out
district
another.
of you.
Yep, I'll send out another Skylar.
Is all I was just.
Yep, nope, I appreciate that.
And if I could use you personally, I'm just going to send the principal here tonight, and if you have concerns or questions or anything about possibility of movement to Twin, you want to come to her, or you are talking to people that aren't here, that could be here, please have them contact me. I'll be happy to take you around. So that's not what we don't want. What we felt like happened last time was it was a hurry up and people to get a chance to really get to know the other schools and the transfer that's happening. We certainly don't want that to happen now. And so I am more than happy to answer questions about this school particularly. So putting in those questions or concerns to you.
Tiffany already has all kinds of ideas for fun. Welcome to Twin Lakes Elementary events for the new kids.
If you show up on Friday, I will be the one outside dancing.
Yep, music is on and she dances. And she sings.
I can give you, we can just sing off.
You would win.
It's a deer.
I don't know if I can do that. Rocket musicals, dude, I got you though. Disney songs,
and Tiffany actually has a really pretty voice. I'm just asking, I've never heard you sing. I